Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is, where the heart's uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. When them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can't be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly with Unseen Twisted Truth. We are the People's Podcast, and I have Tim beside me. I have Henry on the other side of the world, not even no more.
I know, this is weird.
I know. And then we have DDH the Bubble, and then
Hello.
we have Gilly.
Hello.
Hi,
Peace and
Gilly.
love. Peace and love. They're telling me that I cannot go live on Elon Musk's page because they want money from me. That was the holdup. And their little birds want money to go live on X. We have to pay, I suppose. But nonetheless, so today's subject, and I want to introduce our special guest, Christy. Or you can introduce yourself. I don't know what name you prefer to go by. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Christy is fine. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Christy.
It is nice to meet everyone here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the subject.
I'm an autism mom and advocate and activist. I have been since the early 90s. I am an international author, spoken word artist, and I like to blend my music with my spoken word and do collaborations. I play instruments, and I'm looking forward to getting with it more into my crystal medicine practitioner, the types of things that I do. A lot of people don't know about them, so I like being around people, and like Kim, that I'm so grateful for you to have me on, because that way I can really understand more about and topics about the chakras and what happens in the healing journeys, with the mental health. It's a very comprehensive piece, and also with Tim, when we're talking about the martial arts, the mentality that it helps with those kinds of things. So I'm really excited to get into this with you all. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's Henry that does the martial arts, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Yeah, y'all are so gifted. Like, oh my gosh.
Stop.
Tim is the martial arts of opera and stuff, but yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about tonight. Tonight's subject is gonna be about toxic people do toxic things. Tim, what does that mean to you when you hear that title?
Well, I think about people that bring negativity into other people's lives. Usually that's because there's toxic things that they do, and as far as toxic, I mean, to me, it's always been like hurting other people. Not being able to control like your emotions. I have some family members who have been that in my life at times, or I've been been there to take care of them, to get them out of where they've been affected by other toxic people. But yeah, that's what it means to me.
Okay, okay. Henry, toxic people do toxic things. What's that mean to you?
I'll definitely throw a different point out there. I guess part of it means like I think are there people really who are just toxic, or are they just made by society and biological differences? You know, maybe not everybody's toxic. And then on the other hand, I think, well, I've met some people and I'm like, yeah, you're just a piece of garbage. It seems like, unredeemable. So I kind of wonder if there's any where that line is drawn, if we completely exclude toxic people out or who we would deem toxic. Just because I like looking into things a little deeper. So have I met toxic people? Yes, absolutely. Maybe I feel like I've been toxic before too. So I'd love to get more into this subject.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you completely. So, Gilly, toxic people do toxic things.
I kind of fall a lot in line with Henry's point of view. Although I think sometimes there are toxic systems, toxic family systems, toxic community systems that also contribute to the toxicity within the relationships, interpersonal and personal relationships we have with ourselves in our lives. And I think that we also, we live in a gossip culture, which is pretty destructive a lot of times, and I think that I don't know, this is a subject that causes me a lot of anxiety. I'm looking forward to it, and at the same time, this is a tough subject because I think that it affects us all to a certain extent, and some people's lives it affects more so and for longer periods of time or longer cycles of time.
Okay, I can see that too. And you know how I want to see, and I'm always the one that sees on both sides of things. I could see both sides of things. I get it. Christy, what do you think the subject's about?
People who are carrying around a certain type of energy that is very destructive and is harmful to not only themselves and others, because it doesn't have to be just a physical, it can be mental, emotional, spiritual, where somebody it has this type of energy, whether they're aware of it or not, it can be determined by the person's actions. But that's something to me when I see that you could feel it, where it's a looming of something that somebody wants to do that is dark, that puts you in a harmful way. You don't feel safe. So that kind of thing you have to be able to recognize, because it is something that you could feel inside of yourself. Like, like when you're putting on a coat, like you can just feel that negative energy just wrapped around you. And it's almost like poison that gets onto you too. So that's what I look at toxicity.
Okay, okay. SGF Graham, welcome, family, welcome.
Peace, peace.
So, the subject is toxic people do toxic things. What do you think of that?
In my case, I ran across crazy, intelligent, toxic people. I didn't even know the toxicity was even there for a couple of years. Or whatever, like they was very conniving with it. Conniving, dangerous. I look at them as dangerous. Like I almost fear for anybody I see that's dealing with them. I'm like, oh, they gonna get you too, or whatever. Like, like it's a scary thing to deal with. I don't personally know any anymore. Well, thank goodness. So talking about that would be all past tense for me. But dealing with them can be scary once you know, because more than likely by the time you found out, they're close to you.
Yeah. So I was saying, you know, how I see the on both sides of every coin. So for me, I don't think people are toxic. I think there's a lot of unhealed people out there that have a condition where they have to heal from it, and they don't realize what they're putting out into the world to be toxic. I don't know if that's their intent or not. I just believe that they are so damaged. I don't want to say damaged either. They are so trauma. They're so scarred from trauma that it's hard for them to be able to function without the animosity and the angeriness and the negative energy towards things in life, because they're afraid to heal or because they just don't know how to act without thinking of their trauma. And I asked, and the reason why I did this subject is because of a lot of situations that I know personally that's going on around me, not with me, just around me, with other individuals that have been dealing with trauma, and they don't know how to, they're going manic, and they don't know how to approach things in a situation of, I just need to heal. And how they're putting things out into the universe is very heavy and negative, and it is hurting people. Like, why, I asked earlier, and I was talking to Henry, and I was like, when people break up, why do they have to ruin another person's life? Why can't they just say, okay, this didn't work for us, let's move on, and let's either try to co-parent, or let's just try and still be friends or cordial, and let's just move on, because it didn't work. I mean, we tried. I would love to experience something great with you, but it didn't happen. So it's not in our cards. Peace be with you, and go about your life. Why does it have to be, you know, you didn't work for me, so I'm going to ruin your life? Tim?
I feel like it might have something to do with you know, Christy was talking about said the word poisons. You know,
Mhm.
it seems like to me all the different types of people that I've met that have been toxic to me have suffered from one type of poison, either addiction, could be alcohol or types of drugs, it could be pain medication, or it could be other things, you know, some sort of addiction that and then the other ones like you said have trauma, you know, might be it could even just be that they're a sociopath. There are sociopaths out there. You know, it seems like it's some sort of thing where you're sick. But the one thing that I've noticed, you know, like when if a relationship needs to end and there's somebody who is just out there to be spiteful, get mad or whatever, um, it's almost like they're temporarily sick, you know, they're temporarily having a mental crisis, you know, and they can't let go of it. Only time makes, you know, will let that go, you know, time where, you know, the other person may find a way to be friends with you. In some rare instances, you know, the romance is found again after time, and then a lot of times it's just, you know, there's people that just will move away and be completely far away from each other, and then, you know, other relationships get ruined because of it. But the one of the other things that I've experienced with toxic people is that even if they know they have a problem, uh, they'll never tell you that they need to fix it. um, I've always been told, you know, they just want me to accept them, you know, and when I see that, especially when it's somebody you love and you can see that they're not happy and they're hurting, and that you feel like there's no hope to have the old person that you used to know back, the one that made you feel good instead of nervous every time they came in the room. You know, those are sometimes you just have to unfortunately, to me, I feel like you either have to cut the person off completely or get them so mad at you that they just leave.
I feel you. I feel you.
Hard to say
Peace,
that stuff, but yeah.
peace and love, Kendall. Peace and love, Kendall. That's another one of our family team members.
Hi, Kendall.
Kendall, tell me about toxic people do toxic things. What's your opinion on that? And Henry, what is your what's your outlook? Do you believe, why are people, I asked you this earlier. I'm wondering, have you thought of it? Have you thought of a reasoning why?
Um, I think it's fairly rare that people are just malevolent. It's not every serial killer, right, started off in a terrible household or something. Sometimes it's just a unexplainable whirlwind of factors and maybe mixed wiring that causes people to be sadistic or sociopaths all the time. I think it's fair that what Tim said is that there's a lot of influences that usually make these people, and you can't fix all of them. What's the answer to it? Is it improving conditions for everybody so that I don't know. That's too much to get into right now. But I think it's rare that people are actually just that malevolent that they want to hurt you. I've dealt with a lot of toxic people all the time, and not to use a little personal experience, I would steal small things here and there and screw people over, very secretively to buy beer. I mean, we got different levels of how sadistic, because someone can be right down to emotional abuse, which I figure is actually a lot worse than physical abuse in a lot of cases. But that's a lot of stuff we don't see. The coat analogy that Christy said was really kind of cool too, because it's good to keep your head on a swivel. Because whether people are inherently malevolent or not, and don't mean to not respect your boundaries or get inside your head or mess with you, you got to be able to protect yourself and have a good intuition when dealing with people, especially strangers. So, yeah, it's kind of a big topic, but hard to condense.
So, Christy, and then I'll let you read Kendall's. It's huge, Henry. But so, Christy,
Hey,
why do people in relationships, why can't they just be like, okay, it didn't work for us, and they just move on silently, or still be cordial with each other? Why would they have to have such animosity and such hatred for the next individual that they want to hurt them, or they want to ruin their life, or they just, they don't want to see them happy again?
Because they can't be them. I had a story where a gentleman used to beat me and abuse me really bad. And so he came back to me one time and was crying and telling me that the reason why he beat me because I survived being an orphan, and through my trauma with my sister passing away so soon after my parents and having children, my daughter was diagnosed with autism. I still had that drive. I still had that go. I was still going to Morgan, and getting my degree. And I was just in the drive. And here it was. He came, and he still has a wealthy family, well educated. At the time, I was just only dating Christian men at that time. So it was one of those things that, he really looked good on paper. But he was so mad because he was like, all the things that I've been through, that I should have been the addict. And here it is that he turned down 2 scholarships to become a doctor because he was that smart over drugs. And so there was another gentleman that did the same thing to me. He told me that they hated my strength. They hated me having such a way about me that they were trying to break me. And so the toxicity of it was that, as we go back to everybody's points, because everybody's making some really great points here. So what I say is that, yes, you're fighting something inside. They knew what they were doing. So everybody cannot claim that they don't know what they're doing, because you wouldn't do it and then continuously do it and do it and do it to break somebody down, to make them feel so unsafe that they are in harm's way, that they have to move and they have to be quiet, go quiet and everything else. Because of the fact of your own strength, when I'm open, to going ahead and saying, hey, okay, these are my strengths, these might be your weaknesses. They're going to mesh together where, my weaknesses are your strengths. So when a person that knows who they are, even if they're at a low point, that knows who they are, that is good enough to say, okay, I'm walking away from this relationship, that person no longer has somebody that they can terrorize, that they can abuse, and they don't want to look at it themselves. sometimes they do not want to recognize it until we get older, when we're tired, when people have moved away from us and we don't have these relationships anymore. That's when they start coming back. And that's how they came back in my life, was to come back to apologize to me for what they've done. And it was just a real shocker, because I was like, wow, you didn't look at it as an asset. You looked at it as, wait a minute, we're going to poison her as many ways as possible. We're going to damage her in so many ways that where she's going to be so twisted. And when they saw that I didn't break, then it became a thing of like, wow, okay, so people play games. And I feel that those that don't know, they've grown from it. People have said, okay, including myself, like I said, that I was left with venom from a previous relationship. And then when I got with that gentleman, then I was left with the fumes of more poison. You know what I mean? So it was a mixture of toxicity that I had to stop and not date or anything, but to start my healing journey and saying, wait a minute, you were hated by them. I think Henry just said it, that we have to be mindful within our circle, that when people like that come up in there, and I think Tim was saying the same thing, basically, is that you got to be aware to go ahead and get them the heck out of there. And you can't sit up there and feel bad, because you know that energy. You know when it feels like. You can just feel it when you're like, something's not right. You know what I mean? Something's just off. And we don't want to, we tend to look at other things instead of listening to our gut and saying, it's not being mean. It's that I know that type of energy. I know that kind of person. And you know what? I cannot be subjected to your terror because of the fact that you didn't get it together, and you won't try to get it together. And
Let me
it's a struggle for everybody, so yeah.
Let me read this comment before you get into a little bit further, because we got a bunch coming on here, and I want to interact with the audience too. Henry, read Kendall's thing real quick, could you?
I'd love to read Kendall's. Kendall Cobb says, a lot of us deal with all kinds of trauma and toxins. You have to be willing to fully let go of situations without the grudges of hate. That's not in your control. What you can control is yourself and your environment around you to remove. Where in the world, with how society is, we're all rushed into wrongdoings or terms with things that we never prepared for in life when something drastic happens. No one is fully ready until it fully comes unexpectedly, etc. Heck, I unleashed something in my past this week with my own traumas, something I didn't realize, and it triggered a lot of shit stuff. I've been on a major cleaning spree of just letting go, being emotional while I'm at it. A few people mentioned they have been high on emotional sides this week. Joe Fleischer. I am toxic, so I can't chime in. Idiots abound, therefore I disconnect. It's a hell of an admission. Oh, Bossy V. Hey, everyone, blessing. What's up, Bossy?
Bossy V.
Hey, Bossy. And also, Teo Lamb is a dope artist, and he chimed in and said he wanted to jump on. I sent you the link to your messenger, Teo. So just go to your messenger and you get the link and join.
Thanks, everybody. Like and share too.
Yes, like and share, please. So Gilly, I want to ask you, what do you think? Why do you think when and without going too depth into personal, because I don't want to hit a nerve with you with this. I had to do this for what I'm seeing personally. So I apologize that it's affecting you, but how do you feel? Why do you think that people, when they end in a relationship, why do they want to ruin the next person's life instead of just cordially moving on and saying, it didn't work?
From an intellectual perspective, I've known people like this, and I've experienced that, and can understand it in terms of they feel entitled to some sort of vengeance, or sometimes it's because you setting a boundary or changing the nature of your relationship can hurt their image or their ego in some way. I was told once, you should know, I just don't like to lose. I just don't like to feel just taken advantage of. And that was to justify some heinous things that he had done to our own children. So, and me, but I think that, you know, and then there's sometimes toxic cycles that we create for ourselves. Like I was sort of used to being the scapegoat. And when I was raising children as a single mother, oftentimes one of the things that I would do, my intention was to protect them, was to take blame for things that other people have done that have harmed them, because I knew that there was no outlet for their anger with them. So I would somehow turn it around on myself so that there could be some closure, some resolution, some form of apology and amends. But it created this toxic cycle of I'm always to blame. And so I think that not only are there malignant people out there, but there are also sometimes those malignant people or toxic people. And I do agree with Henry. I think there's very few that are malicious, but there are a lot of toxic, I would say not toxic people, but toxic behaviors that people engage in. And it can also destroy a person's social life, financial life. And I don't know why people get off on that. It makes me very angry because there have even been times that I've, you know, fantasized, ugh, I just wish, but I would never act on it. They're thoughts that I can't control, but my behaviors I can. And there are people that just don't think that they have to.
I can see that too. SGF Graham, why do you think when relationships are over that people can't just walk away?
Hurt people hurt people. People feel like they got the short end of the stick, or they wanted to be the one to do the breaking up versus being broke up with, and they feel pain and they want you to feel it as well. Like case point, my ex-wife, not now, but back then, I knew when she was out of a relationship that she would harass whoever I was with and harass me. Like, and the only thing I could think, oh, you're miserable right now, so I must be miserable. Whatever. But whenever she get in a relationship, don't hear nothing from her. Whatever. So, you know, that's my example in my situation of hurt people, and being toxic.
And I want to put this out. I don't like the word toxic people, only because I'm coming from a healed state. Now, when I wasn't healed and I was in a different mind state, everything I seen it as toxic and all this other stuff, and I seen it as narcissist and all this other stuff. Now that I'm in a different state of mind and I love myself, I can't see it as that anymore. I see it as people that really just need to heal, and they gotta really dig up and do that shadow work and get their inner child, because it's usually a case that stems from way before that relationship even started, and then they just didn't want to go ahead.
I failed to mention actually that question. I failed to answer the question about relationships. And I just wanted to say, I've seen people have kids out of spite with their exes and partners, and bring other people into the delusions and whatever they got going on, that they're so angry and spiteful about it. There's codependency. There's all kinds of things, multitude of factors that make people gravitate toward each other. We're the smartest apex predators on the planet, and we don't have a great healthcare system and counseling. So it's going to be volatile if you're not ready for what a relationship like that entails. And that's just the shortest answer I could do.
No, I appreciate that too, and I knew you didn't, but I didn't know if you did it on purpose, so I didn't want to pry.
I've had problems with relationships.
Yeah, and I've been in situations, even those that know me know about the gentleman that tried taking my life. Even though that happened to me, I still didn't want nothing ill to happen to him, and I still don't to this day. And I never really want to see bad things happen to them. And when it was over, it was over. And I've never had a relationship where I wanted revenge. I don't know if it's because of, I can't tell you why I've never been on the opposite side. I do know that hurt people do hurt people. And when people can't see themselves in the picture that they painted for themselves, they tend to reflect and switch the tables around and blame. And I still love people, even the person that did that to me. I just love myself more that I don't value them in my presence because they didn't value my life. So I just moved on and I let them still be whatever they're supposed to be because it's not my place to change it. There's a situation that's really close to me, and I don't want to get too much in details and say too much because it's not my business to say. It does affect me, but it's not my business to put out there. And
Right.
when people split up and they decide to go their separate ways, I've noticed that the kids are affected more than anything. And I'm proud of myself to never do that to my son. One, I didn't know his dad as an adult. I only knew him at a 16, 17, 18-year-old person. So now that I'm 50, what could I have told my son bad about his father then to affect him? You know what I'm saying? Because how I felt about him isn't how he was to him as a father. It was how he was to me as a mate. And it's totally opposite. So I couldn't tell him anything bad about his dad. I let him all see it on his own. And they have a relationship, and it's their thing. He disappeared for so long and came back and whatnot. I don't see how somebody could try and use their kid as either a pawn or as expendable feelings. Like, just play games and say, now because we're not together, I'm going to make it so you can't be in your child's life neither. And it's weird how unhealed people can walk around this world and kids get affected by it. It's sad, and it affects everybody who's in the game without playing the game. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if no one wants to get help, especially if they don't want to even get any help, or they don't think there's a problem.
No, it's true. And Bossy said, "How is everybody this evening?" And then she gave 100s, and then she said this.
Sydney Lopez.
And then she said this.
Annie
Oh, she
Marie.
tagged some people.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's tagging.
Oh, okay. Because I can't see
Still
it. So. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess deeper would be how should we safely deal with people that have toxic behaviors?
And I've noticed telling them they have toxic behaviors is not the way to do it. I've noticed that firsthand. Henry, how do you think we should deal with people that have them kind of behaviors?
It's kind of hard to tackle, right? It's a little big brother. I mean, a lot of people feel entitled to be an asshole, even like it's a badge of honor to be. And these kind of, maybe it's just traditions and things that have gotten passed down, but I think it takes good communities. I think I've been in public so many times, and I have watched as I'm ringing people out or something, I watched the husband grab the wife and yank her over and like, shut up, be quiet, and things like that. And they do that to kids in public, and we have to turn a blind eye, right? That's what we do. We got to turn a blind eye. It's this guy's daughter was on her phone in a movie theater, and the clerk came in, the guy who worked in the movie theater came in and said, "You got to get off your phone." And this dude came out and started going up and down one side of this guy. I thought he was going to beat this kid up in the movie theater. All of that was toxic. And we just kind of let it go. I think big communities could pull together and shut that down. But at the same time, you got to pry into people's personal lives, which, how do you balance that? How do we let domestic problems like that go and screw people up and we can't help them without completely interfering on things. Because that's what happened with me growing up, is I wanted help and I couldn't get help. And I beat the living shit out of my brother to the point where I was torturing him every day because no one was listening to me. And I was scared our family would get disbanded. It sucks. Community.
SGF Graham, I don't know if I asked you about relationships, about why people, when they break up, why do they think they got to ruin the next person's life?
Yeah, I gave my answer. I said
Okay.
basically hurt people.
Okay. So, what do you think about, like, what's a thing to help them? How can we help somebody that's having toxic behaviors, not a toxic person, toxic behaviors, toxic traits? How can we help them? Do you know?
Haha. You know, ABA, that's my applied behavior analysis. That's my cup of tea. I wouldn't give them no attention, good or bad.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
most
I
of the
guess
time,
you can take it two ways. Yeah.
yeah, because most of the time they just want a reaction.
Yes, they do. No, and I get
When
that. And I had someone come to me and say to me, you know, if you don't approach me or say something to me, I'm going to air out so and so's business all over Facebook. They just wanted a response. And when I didn't give them that response, and I still haven't given that response, they stopped talking to me and they didn't air out so and so's business. They just really just wanted that. They want you to meet them in that negative energy. And when you can't meet them where they want to be met, they either totally crash or they just disappear. Um,
one thing about behavior is that it's learned.
yeah,
So that's where learning applied behavior analysis been in there. I use it on myself. Applied behavior analysis, things that I need to change. I create my surroundings to happen a certain way so that I get used to working a certain way or whatever. I do it with my dogs. I do it with other human beings. If I don't need you to deal with me that way, I don't care how you deal with everybody else. But I'm going to, I hate to say it, train you on how to deal with me, how to operate with me. If you want to operate with me, this is how we're going to operate.
I can see that. I can see that. It's healthy boundaries. I'm going to introduce Teo real quick and let him say his thing, but I want Henry to read this real quick so I can get this away from his face.
Will do. Bossy B says, I easily ignore people that cut off game is smooth. LOL. I don't play. I was in toxic relationships and finally put me first. So now I'm at the point where I just nip it before I get crazy with my own mouth. New Yorker in me, LOL, I guess. I'm not arguing.
I get it. I get it. Teo,
Wow, big panel.
Teo, are you here? You're muted.
I hope he comes back.
Okay. Yeah, he'll come back. So, Christy, what do you think that we could do to help somebody who is showing toxic behaviors, toxic I don't traits?
To disengage. And like you said, that talking or telling somebody who's not ready to hear that they have a problem, then all you can do is show them. And I demonstrated that in my life with, it was just a friend of mine. And I saw that he was being self-destructive. And so I used a different technique, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to show you, because in the music, because he was into music, he was a freestyler. He could just come off the top of his head, but he wasn't utilizing his gifts. So it was best that before his life ended, he was really looking. It took about 3 or 4 years, but he started getting to that place where he was letting down some toxic behavior and toxic mindsets of what he grew up around and everything else, because he was learning something from me. And so that's what we have to do every day. It's not being pompous, but when you're sitting up there and we have to deal with people on the outside, that to show what negative, like, no, first of all, return to sender. That negativity can't come to me unless I allow it to come in. Secondly, is that to have a little bit more of that walk, like I said, and to show people that, okay, this is what I do. So if you can't get it together, cool, but you know, you're gonna see what I'm doing. And that has been the best way in humanity that never goes old, is that walk the walk and talk the talk. And so that's what we have to do, and understand that people, it could be, as Henry was saying before, that it can go into so many different categories. So it could be a mental illness or some type of addiction, or always it's a childhood trauma. I've never hardly seen where somebody did not experience a trauma in their childhood, you know, that turned them into a different way. So there's a lot of components in there. But when you are able to go ahead and be steady within yourself to say, okay, I can show you, you know what I mean, better than I can tell you, because you're not going to listen with me, because then you're going to feel like, okay, I'm the bad person, and either you're going to go into a bad depression, and I don't want somebody going into that, or suicidal thoughts. So I'm careful in my approach, but I have found a good approach in being able to show people in that direction is how to do.
Okay.
Rather than telling you, I'm going to show you.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I was gonna say also, like, if they're a kid though, if they're like if they're your children or something like that, I'd say in that case you have to immediately get them help.
Yeah.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Gilly, I'll be back
Teo.
to you. I want to give Teo a chance to say something, since he jumped on. And Teo, so why do you think toxic people do toxic things?
So the reason why toxic people do the toxic things is because there's 5 reasons. These are the reasons why I say that. It's because I was just with a toxic person.
Mhm.
They either A, have self-pity on themselves, and they don't know how to pretty much cope with what they're dealing with. And if they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to cope with what they're dealing with, they will use their power of
Mm-hmm.
depression, anxiety, stress, and all that good stuff into another person and push all of that onto them
Mm-hmm.
and make them feel like they're not who they are and they're losing within themselves. Because I just
Mm-hmm.
went through that. I just lost myself dealing with somebody that couldn't love, didn't know how to communicate, didn't know how to speak to a person, but wanted to be loved. And it's like when I was telling them about their toxic traits, because one of those toxic traits that I did take on myself was not knowing how to communicate with a person that did not know how to communicate, because it was hard trying to sit there and start off a small conversation that was like a little bit less than 2 minutes, turn into a 2-hour disagreement, going to from a disagreement to a 5-hour argument about stuff that wasn't even had to do with the whole topic at first. 2, they have a whole bunch of trauma, either through childhood, middle age, like middle school through high school, adult, or a little bit older than that. Their toxicity comes from mainly trauma, because when you're traumatized as a kid, that you carry that all the way with you the rest of your life. And I can
Mm-hmm.
admit that because I have toxic traits from stuff that happened to me when I was a child, and I have carried that with me. I'm about to be 26 next month. I've carried that with me since I was 6 years old. So for 2 decades, I've carried nothing but toxicity in certain aspects of my life that I've been trying to work on. And it's like knowing your own toxic traits can definitely help you open up yourself to being a better person and a better human being to society and anybody else that you're trying to help with you. Number 3, it will be argumentations about certain things that does not pertain to the conversation. So say that me and the host is talking about music, right? And it went from music into a whole think about money or think about a relationship or think about a car or housing. It's like the different type of topics will just keep jumping off and off and off with a toxic person because they can't stick on one topic. They will jump multiple topics because when you start with that one topic and it hits them hard, they don't want to talk about it no more. They want to push it off and go to something else where they feel more comfortable in. And
Mm.
that right there is what kills a person inside because you're like, why can't we ever just talk about it? Why can't we get through this situation first before moving to another situation that doesn't need to be, that has nothing to do with the conversation at all? And then it's 4, money and love is the most toxic thing that you can ever have. If you don't got money, you're toxic because people are going to look at you at certain ways, and the way that you carry yourself is going to be you're carrying a lot of toxicity because your mindset's not there. Not being loved correctly or not knowing how to love correctly is a
Mm.
toxic trait. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know how to love or cannot know how to accept certain love, you can never give that type of love. And that's the most hugest toxic trait I've ever learned, getting out of the most toxic relationship I've been in over 3 years. Because I gave this woman everything I could possibly give. Everything. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I'm 100% broke because of everything I spent for this person. And you know what she did to me? She left me for a person that she works with.
Mm.
No, no, no. You know what she did for you? She taught you a lesson.
She
She
taught me the
taught.
lesson I need to know.
That's right. So
Mhm.
listen to me. Do me a favor after the show, though. Will you inbox me? I'm going to help you heal your inner child real quick. It'll
Thank
be
you.
so quick, and you'll love it. You'll forgive yourself about so much.
Oh, that's
Um,
gonna be beautiful.
stay on this panel though, because we're going to come back to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna shoot over to Gilly, and I'm gonna ask Gilly, why do you, Gilly, what is you can tell somebody to help them without telling them, that they need to get help?
I probably wouldn't tell them without telling them. I actually think that that's a problem. I think that sending signals, things can get confused. And you can really mess with a person's sense of identity that way. You can really make them question things possibly way beyond what you were trying to help with. I think that we have to be careful playing therapist with people.
Mm.
I think that, and I've been sometimes guilty of that. My most secure relationship had always been with my children. And so I came from, a mothering perspective or a teaching perspective or whatever. And even though I didn't mother with hierarchy, it's still there is a different role. And so I had to watch the way that I interact with people and make sure I'm not, trying to understand and help and guide, and just actually connect. I think that sometimes I might have caused harm. When I was doing that, I know that harm has been caused to me by people who, rather than just directly come to me and be okay with me either not being in a place to receive it at the time, or be okay with me disagreeing, or maybe I'll listen, but I may not have the tools or the resources to follow it, or so I think that we are so quick now to jump down people's throats and to label them as something. And once you label somebody as something, their whole personhood changes.
Yeah, no,
And
I
you can
agree.
project that back onto them very easily and
I
destroy
agree.
their self-confidence and
Yeah, I
and
agree.
their sense of agency and ability to change these things for themselves. um I don't think you should be covert about it at all. I
Okay.
think that it shows a lack of respect for a person and being able to handle some sort of criticism. I think it confuses people because they don't know where you're coming from exactly. So their imaginations, I mean, I have one thing that skill that I have is I have an imagination. Well, that's a dangerous thing sometimes. It can be a wonderful thing, but if you're in a dark place, it's a dangerous thing. And if you're having to confront somebody about toxic behavior, it's likely that they may be in a dark place, at least in some area of their lives. And so you either love them where they're at, or if you truly want to help them, say, I've seen this, I want to help you. Are you willing to listen?
Okay. Henry, can you read the comments? And I see where you're coming from, Gilly. And then we're gonna let people respond to how you feel.
I agree.
Yes,
with
I
you,
can
bro.
read. Yeah, for sure, Gilly. It's we got Bossy V. Can't help someone if they ain't helping themselves. Truthfully, I learned that the hard way. 100%. Also, pointing their flaws out only triggers them as they try to manipulate and try to make it about themselves and not accepting that their behavior is a problem. Self-reflection isn't always easy to address. That's true.
And this is Tateo.
That is
And
so
she
true.
did you a favor.
She did.
And also, Teo, I want you to know, sometimes we practice insanity, not on purpose. And then we expect something different from somebody, but yet we keep going to the same people. And what I learned when we weren't completely healed with our inner child and we didn't do that shadow work of fixing ourselves and raising our own self-love and our own boundaries, we tend to find people that are like our parents, just different,
I
but
can agree with that.
the similar traits. So the things you didn't like about your mother could be what you are looking for in a girl, and you try to tend to find ones like your mother, even though they weren't good traits. But until you heal that inner child and forgive that part of you, we will continue doing those cycles. It's insanity. We all have done it and expecting a different outcome, just a different face, but the same kind of individual until we learn to love ourselves correctly and then raise our boundaries and have healthy boundaries and start loving ourselves correctly. We tend to do that. So you're at a young age. I'm proud of you for recognizing it now and seeing that, and those 5 traits that you said, or 5 examples that you said, I agree completely with. And it's to be mindful of that. I'm proud of you and I can commend you for that, and realizing now at a young age and to be able to set those healthy boundaries so you don't repeat the cycles over and over and over, because we're going to until you learn that lesson you're supposed to learn. So whatever that
Absolutely.
lesson is from this, take it and use this as a stepping stone to do better and upgrade.
I'm not gonna lie with you guys. That's what I have been doing. I have been listening to the audiobook, The 48 Laws of Power. I have the laws of human nature, the laws of seduction, the laws of 40 laws of power, and I've been listening to everything. So I'm hoping that with everything I'm taking in from all these books that are supposed to help my mental at this young age, it can
Yeah.
prosper me in as I'm growing and getting closer to my full adulthood.
And search for the 4 agreements. Check out that book.
The 4 agreements.
And that will help you in so many other ways. It'll help you realize that people's agreements are not yours. So that'll help you a lot. Tim, do you have anything to say on either Gillies or Tateo?
Yeah, in relation to all of that, I was thinking as you guys were all talking that it really depends on what type of relationship you have with this person and how much you want them in your life. How much you're willing to do to help them, if to get back to, because obviously, I mean, hopefully when you met them they were a different person than they are now. Now, another thing to consider also is, can you talk to somebody? How do you deal with somebody who you think has a mental issue? um, if you're not sure if maybe you do too, as all of us, I had to go through that with after my first divorce. Um, and there's been times where you literally just have to go and find where you can get, like at the time I was on like Medi-Cal in California, and went and follow the trail to get seen by a counselor. And just talking to somebody who's gets paid to do that, for some reason, just for some people helps. I also take medication now, as well. Nothing horrible, but I mean nothing that affects me horribly or anything. It's only helped me out, stay calm, and be able to deal with you know the feelings that I would normally get on a day-to-day basis. That pit in the stomach. Um, but another thing I was going to just say is, there's different ways. If you really want to keep somebody and you feel like you can talk to them, you can either go the route of literally sitting down and saying, I need to talk to you, so they know that it's serious, first of all. And then when you sit down, saying, I'd like to have a heart to heart with you, and come to them from a place of love. It usually starts off with, I love you, and I'm really concerned. And then, like Gilly was saying, you do have to be prepared. Let them speak. Don't raise your voice. Always come out of a place of love. If they're not ready to accept it, you know, um, when they say stop, stop. And you have to consider that sometimes it's time that will fix these things. It's time not seeing them, time not being their Facebook friend, even if that hurts. Time not going on their page and looking at their pictures. Sometimes it takes 2-3 years. My ex-wife, it took 2 or 3 years. It started off with her. Somebody did an upper decker. I'd never even heard of that in my toilet. Yeah. So if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. Doing sick things that people normally wouldn't do just because they're mad. But as time went by, I had to set my boundaries. It wasn't important for me at that time to keep that relationship going, but luckily it did. After time, years have gone by, and we're cordial now. We're friends. In the beginning, it was really bad and it was really toxic. So time is another thing. You can wait it out. And then the third thing I could say is, you could, which I don't recommend, but you can. Some people try to manipulate people. Hey, I'm been feeling really sick. I'm seeing this great therapist. You could totally check them out. Sometimes it works out, but sometimes it doesn't, because you got to follow through on your end with what you're doing. You can't just leave. Set them in that direction and then leave them high and dry. So it all depends on how much you want to do with people, in my opinion.
Well, and with the manipulation, people can often see through that, and then it feels it's more destructive, because you don't know if some of their trauma is from manipulation, and you could be putting them in a state of trauma again. People think about PTSD and that type of trauma, where they're reliving some event, right? But complex trauma is different. It's more nuanced. It's something that's typically ongoing. A lot of the trauma is happening in the brain, and as a reaction to different emotions or emotional dynamics in the relationships and spaces that they're in. And so you have
Hello?
to be oh,
1 second, Gilly. 1 second. Christy, we can hear you. Can you hear
I
us?
can't hear anybody.
You might have to back out and come back. You probably got a phone call.
I will say phone calls will mess up your audio, because when I was in the song battles yesterday, I got a phone call and I couldn't hear nothing, so I had to leave and come
Yeah.
back, and I was able to hear it again.
Somebody tell her in the private chat that she probably has to leave and come back. Whoever is typing in there. SGF Graham, can you type in the private chat and tell her to leave and come back? She probably got a phone call.
I would do it too, because I saw that message too, so I'll also put that in there for her.
Okay. Um,
and I also just
sorry,
I just
Gilly.
want to finish. I also think that you can we have to be careful not to stigmatize people with mental health issues, particularly very severe mental health issues. including gay mending ideology, including severe levels of clinical depression, which is also chemical, including anxiety and different forms of disorders and personality disorders that are also under the spectrum of anxiety type behavior patterns or personalities. And so I want to be careful to point out to the audience that just because somebody deals with some of these things and may have some maladaptive behaviors or behaviors that you don't understand, or coping skills that you don't understand, or panic attacks that seem to be out of control, or whatever you see, doesn't mean that they're a toxic person. It may mean that what's happening can cause toxicity in the relationship, particularly if you don't have coping skills. But it does not. I just want to be careful not to label people with mental illness as toxic. Often people with mental illness are in relationships find themselves in relationships with toxic people who are actually intentional and actually malignant and pernicious. I liked that word. You used that in the thing. And I think there's also different developmental disorders or social disorders. For instance, I didn't learn the regular rules of social interaction for adults. My social realms that I operated in were typically play date related, and they were just different circles. We made friends because our kids got along, and I would have coworkers, but I'd come straight home. I wouldn't go out with them afterwards. And so a lot of the social developmental stages I never really went through. I didn't have the normal college. I didn't have, and then I'm not going to speak so much on it. Maybe Christy can speak more on it, but autism may affect the way a person interacts with somebody. And some of those things may be considered socially unacceptable and therefore get deemed as toxic. And that's absolutely the wrong thing, in my opinion, because they can learn coping skills, right? But I just think that we have to be careful on labeling people rather than behaviors toxic.
Yeah, that really gets me thinking. All of a sudden, a whole other side. So it's not just that. It could be some people could be doing toxic behaviors. Could be related to the morals they have that they hold, or might be different than other people's.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to let Henry chime in real quick because he has something to say. I feel it. Then I want to say something afterwards, and then we're gonna read this comment. It doesn't make no sense to me, but go ahead, Henry.
Go ahead, Henry. I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you can try and fix people, sometimes you can't try and fix people, and like Christy said, sometimes you got to disengage because you don't have to be an addict to have to hit rock bottom to figure out you might be a sociopath or something. Sometimes you just gotta people disengage with you enough, you're gonna learn by proxy that you're pushing them away. Hopefully, you'll get the point. But that's like social rock bottom. You realize you're a complete. I don't know, and sometimes you never pull your way out of that. I guess I've seen it happen a lot of times. Or you can just leave them an upper decker because that sends a message to a. But yeah, no, we got a lot of people who have disorders, and some of those disorders cause disruptive behavior that could be labeled as toxic. That's why I said, what's the fine line between what's toxic and not toxic? If someone's toxic, they're just an asshole. It's kind of hard to say. They're suffering.
May I chime in for a moment, please?
Oh, I really want to say this, but go ahead.
Yes. I'll go to you.
Okay. I just want to say sometimes we are the problem. You got to realize that. And we mirror people. So sometimes what we're putting out is what we're getting in return, because everybody gets a different version of us. Our energy brings out something different in someone. So if we're coming in as attacking and we're coming in as labeling and calling names, they're going to lash out and they're going to be defensive and they're going to feel attacked. And what are they going to do? So sometimes we are the problem too. When we are also in an unhealed state, we do unhealed things to people and bring that out in them. And maybe they weren't that way at the beginning at all. And maybe we turned them into that. I mean, I just wanted to say that real quick, because a lot of times we mirror people so much that we become, what they see of us is what we put out. So
I agree.
but go ahead,
I
Christy.
agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christy. I just wanted to say that real quick.
Yes.
Oh yes, yes,
Oh,
and
yes, you
you're
got
on
that.
point with it. There was two things that I wanted to make mention, because you did bring up the autism piece of it, where absolutely my daughter was diagnosed in the early 90s, and before they had a whole lot of autism awareness and stuff like that, it was parents that were on the front line of things. And so people would do the unimaginable things to, even with my daughter. Because the difference in not understanding what was going on, and even as a child. So she went through a whole lot, unfortunately, with people that ended up damaging her even more because of it. Now, yes, can it be called quote unquote toxic behavior? Absolutely, because my daughter had the component of having the episodes where some autistic children, they're just calm, and my daughter, she would go out into an explosion and she would be able to fight. And so it caused me to be permanently disabled and all of that stuff. So it becomes a fine line. And as I talk to other people, like even in domestic violence, who now they've opened mental health and domestic violence into with people with autism and other disorders and how to deal with things. And it's really about a balance, because even for me, I needed to have something to balance, because she was going through so much for so long. So we have to remember to be able to have the healing journey within ourselves, as well as the awareness of the meditations, being able to be a part of being able to speak to someone like you, Ms. Kimberly, being able to gravitate towards something to where, okay, we want to be able to deal with it, because my child does not understand, is not going to understand that what behaviors that she's doing is wrong because of the capacity of her mental age. She's 33 right now, but she's like about 15 in age. So we have to just be careful and mindful, and this is Autism Awareness Month. So, I just like to be able to shed light on those things and anybody with a special needs, because I think that the answers will still be the same, regardless of what category you're in, and how the methodology that you use, it will be important, because certain people are ready to receive it at different times. And when they're ready, there's many of us that are able to come in, and those that will come into our lives when we're in need. Secondly, with Teo, I am going to tell you how enlightened you're going to be once you have this session with Miss Kimberly. In 2019, actually in 2011, there was a prophetess who told me that I had to make amends with my mom, and I told her that my mom was dead, and she said, okay, but it doesn't matter, you still have to make amends. And then my spiritual teacher in 2019 took me through a session, and she started her own movies where you go actually in there, and they can show that, through guidance, even through technology, you are able to get that healing that you need in those breakthroughs. So I know that the positive side of things are going to really be able to show you, release you from any type of shame, guilt, you know what I mean? Why'd I do any of that stuff out? And as you're beginning in your healing journey, you're going to find yourself so pleasantly surprised of how you've taken over in your team, Teo, without being, a person who is selfish, but being able to have a good balance of self-love. So
I was grateful to hear that you will be getting a session with her, because once I did that, that was the one thing that broke, that was able to help me to see even my part in it and help me through the hard, rough times. But it was worth it.
And
Thank
and
you.
I love that you said that, Christy. But the thing is, what you said the most, that really the key part to all of it is finding yourself. We tend to lose ourselves in
Hmm.
society, in growth, in this thing called life, and we got to realize that matter only exists when we give it attention, and it's a different aspect than I normally use it, and that's even negative energy. So anytime something is something, it's because we're giving it attention, or it wouldn't be something. So to find ourselves, that's the main thing, Henry. To find ourselves. It was a
Yes.
gift. It was a gift for you to find yourself.
Well, it was everything. I was walking around lost in a world of ghosts for years.
And trying to mask different things to find the replacement of not knowing who
You
you
get
were.
you get angry, and I don't say what we settle with people. I think that's cruel to say that, but we settle on certain things with ourselves, and we get lonely, and we fall into patterns, and we include others in that, and you're not healed. You're not ready for anything. I had someone tell me I wasn't ready for a relationship. You shouldn't be in a relationship, and it really stuck with me. And I said maybe I shouldn't be because I'm not healed. We get toxic. We get called toxic and labeled toxic. Shit. I spent like years really toxic. I put people's lives at risk and did a bunch of crazy shit. And I don't know. It really took me. A few other people really wanted me to get better, but it really did take me to get better. And now I guess I still do toxic things on occasion, but I guess the difference is I'm trying to know what those are, know if it's affected by how my brain is from all the abuse I went through, and just try to recognize those things as they come. I guess
SGF.
toxic is not wanting to change.
No, I get that. SGF Graham. I know won't let you message or nothing. So what's your part on this? How do you feel to find yourself? You have to find yourself.
I ain't gonna say that again. I'm gonna say reword that. I didn't really get that.
To find yourself. How does that feel to find yourself?
To find myself, FIND.
FIND.
That was the best feeling. Like I said, that's the process that I'm going through with making this current album. It's like a breath of fresh air. Well, to really find who I am, not what everybody else like, but actually do what I enjoy, actually be me, act how I want to act without being a hindrance to anybody else. Well, I love it.
Teo, I just want to tell you, everybody on here are artists. Every single person on this stage,
Nice to
except for
meet you
myself.
guys. That's everybody that's
So
an artist. It's nice to meet you.
they all
Let's
are.
collabs.
Nice to
They all
meet
are.
you.
So Tim, finding yourself throughout the first marriage, and being who you are now as a different husband, a better husband.
I feel like it takes time, it takes reflection, it takes a lot of thinking, a lot of literally just sitting there for hours and just thinking, constructively thinking. One of the things that I feel like has helped me in my life is I did a critical thinking course in community college back in LA. And it really, I also took a psychology one. And just like, it might seem boring to read a psychology book, but it's so enlightening just to know how certain things work as far as we understand it now. but finding yourself to me like now is one of those things that it's always changing. You're always finding yourself. But I feel like as of now, it is felt good to evolve into somebody who is comfortable with who I am, and has boundaries, can stand up for myself, and knows how to deal with anger constructively. So it feels good.
So Henry, you want to read this? I can't make heads or tails of it. I don't know
I
if
got this one. I got
I'm
this
not
one.
high enough.
It's
Yes,
it's it's
please,
it's a
Tim.
rap lyrics. It's
Oh,
rap
okay.
lyrics. So it goes,
Okay.
change lanes like I'm going 120 in a switch up, hold back, look at Gur Buster. On red, all I said, got locked time, rock up has made them moves. I'm stopped ready on get on creddy. Yeah, I said it on my loan. I'm like Stallone, right hook upper cause no one's the punk. Sit back and watch as I roll up that green. I'm in scene, but now you seem now starting tall, bringing fire. I Wrong by SMK House.
That's
Okay.
how you do it. That's how you build yourself
How
back
you
up from
do.
nothing.
And I like that because I was so confused. I was like, maybe I haven't smoked enough herb because I can't figure this out.
See, there's a
I
million ways that somebody could have handled that. Someone could have read that. Someone could have just said, "Oh, it's just rap lyrics." But I'm comfortable with myself. Make a fool of myself or whatever. But SMK, he's trying to promote himself. Thank you.
no, no, and I like it, and I appreciate it, and I don't think you made a fool of yourself. I'm
No,
just
Tim, you're
telling
quite the orator.
you, I couldn't do it. I tried. I just like I don't know what it is. So no, I appreciate that. But yeah, Teo, define yourself. I'm proud of you to want to find yourself at this early on in the age, though. It's better now than it is later, and to want to have that overstanding and to just be mindful of yourself. I'm proud of you on that.
Thank you.
You have an amazing message when you speak your words. They didn't get to hear what I heard when I joined the thing last night. They weren't blessed to be able to hear that. And your music has so much pain and joy in it at the same time, and I can feel you healing through it.
That's why I make
So
it the way I make it, because I'm healing through my own pain just by expressing to other people that I know for 100% fact is going through the same exact thing. It might be just a little bit different in the aspect, but I know we're all going through the same thing, and somebody has to speak out eventually and let somebody
that
know I'm right there with you. Don't think you're alone.
facts. And that's the reason why we do this show is because we want to let people know that they're not alone. We rather talk to somebody and then to read about what they did on their when they quit the game. I rather say to somebody, you're not alone. It may seem dark right now because you're going through the storm, but at the end of the day, we're all going through a storm. Just
Not
different
only
ways.
are you, yeah, not only are you not alone, there are solutions, and we are willing to go, all the way with you to find those solutions. If everybody felt that way, wouldn't it feel great? Especially if it was true.
I
So
can
And
no,
agree
it
with you.
and it is true. We can go out there and help each other. There is help out
Yeah.
there. I might not have it, but I could help you find it. You could help me find it. We can all help each other.
okay, so now this is the time where my husband gets to speak because he only has 10 minutes. So he's at work right now, and this is his break. So
Hi, DDH.
How you
What's
guys
up,
doing
DD?
tonight?
Hello.
Hey, guys doing tonight? Love you guys, man. It's a great
love
show
you.
tonight.
So hurt people do hurt things, or hurt people. Not hurt people, but toxic people do toxic things. And I don't like to use. I only use the word toxic because a lot of people can resonate with it. In a healed state, I don't like to say the word toxic because it's labeling for one, and for two, it's dirty. There's nothing beautiful about toxic and poisons. Why do people that are exuding those behaviors do things that they do?
Well, and I personally have went through this. When people know my story, they know I've went through this, and I come to see from my personal experience is I think that a lot of times what it is that person is already hurting inside, or they haven't healed from their things that they need to heal from. So in their mindset, they're like, well, if I have to be miserable, and I won't do the shadow work to heal myself and stuff, then I don't want this other person to live a happy, joyful life. So I think that toxic people, and people are going to do that until they learn to heal and do the shadow work that they need to, and just fix themselves. They're going to continue to do toxic things. And if it's not fixed, it can really end the world, or So
So have you realized that when you're around people this way, you when you're around the toxic behavior, that you tend to pick up those traits and have them on your own?
oh yeah,
Naturally.
oh yeah, absolutely. Because what happened is you don't pick them up and do it on purpose. It's just you are so accustomed to experiencing them and them being done to you. It's just that it becomes kind of like a product of environment. It becomes something that seems natural. You got to catch yourself and recognize when you're doing it. And I believe that it can be fixed if you catch it at the onset of it and be willing to want to change that.
And how do you tell people, or what can you say to people that are in a relationship? That because we talked about when they're done with the relationship, they want to ruin the next person. How do you help them where they don't do that?
Realize that it's over with. Once it's over with, you just gotta have closure. Closure to it all. Turn the page, new chapter. Take a break and re-heal for whatever traumas that you have to heal from.
So, and what is your positive message before your bell rings?
Is stay toxic free and just enjoy life. Um, enjoy life to the fullest. Yeah, you want.
And what are you doing this Saturday before you leave?
The Saturday, guys, Powder Blue, which will be on Tubi and Amazon Prime, is a movie premiere that I'm in. Shout out to Brandy Johnson. The book was a bestseller. I had a part in that movie. It was my first acting role in the movie, so I'm excited to be there. Shout out to Powder Blue.
Right.
Congratulations.
Congrats, my
Thank
man.
you.
Congrats. Big moves
Yeah,
only.
man.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It's a fun. I've acted previous in plays. Doing the play in a movie, it's been a journey. We started this movie like a year and a half ago. You learn a lot of what they do in the movie world, so that was pretty cool.
Well, thank you for coming on, husband. Much love and respect, and your team loves you.
I love you guys too, and I love you, my beautiful wife. That's my,
Love you, fam.
One
It was
love.
good meeting you.
All right.
yeah.
Love you, man.
Nice to meet you.
So sorry about that, Tim. So, all right, we're gonna end up wrapping it up. So, what is your positive message, Tim?
Positive message. Be good to each other. Pay attention to each other. Be a loving person. Think as much as you can, as critically as you can. And don't isolate yourself from people.
I love that, Henry.
Oh, don't don't destroy yourself trying to fix other people. Um, do the best you can within the bounds of reason, and try and understand that maybe it's a two-way street, and some of that toxicity can be coming from you. Regardless of that, if we all improve communication and just keep on working on that, you usually come out ahead. And if all else fails, upper decker.
Now I
Great
want to know.
revenge doesn't hurt anybody.
Oh my God! Don't say that. Anyways, Teo,
No,
what's your
Yes.
positive message? I'm going to ignore that he said that.
My
the first
positive
part.
message is to always love yourself. If you can never love yourself, it's going to be hard to love another person. Until you can love yourself, you can't love anybody else. And that's the most hugest toxic trait I could think of. Also, just always know, no matter what you're going through, as soon as you reach out to somebody that is actually going to be open-minded, open-hearted to listening before saying anything, and then giving their best advice possible to help you grow and succeed in whatever you're going through, that's the people you got to talk to. That's the people you got to have in your circle. Those are the people that you need in your life, because without them, you won't be able to grow within yourself, learning the problems that you're going through and opening up to the people that understand what you're going through.
I love that. I love that.
Yes,
Kendall,
yeah.
think of a positive thing to think of a positive thing. So yeah, because you used the same quote. SGF Graham, positive quote or message.
Um, your favorite role model or actor or musician or whoever in that sense probably has a therapist. So don't be afraid to reach out for help.
I like that
Yeah.
too. Gilly.
Instead of tough love, learn to love tough, and that goes for your love for yourself too.
That's the sweetest thing ever.
Hmm.
Christy.
I say that it takes a lot of strength and courage to say that you have a problem and don't look at it as a weakness. Because when we turn against ourselves or beat ourselves up so bad, then we're never going to be able to live the life that we are supposed to live, and living well amongst our people and humanity, and being able to be open to different resources that are available to you. It's okay, just start with one little thing to add positive in your life every morning and take it from there, and being around other people who have other ways that maybe you never thought of that can assist you. So don't be embarrassed, throw the word perfect away, and be able to go ahead and break off the things that are toxic, because it got stuck on you. And then that way, in turn, you can have the healing, the love, and everything for yourself and others. Thank you.
Yes. And it's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
meeting you. And let us know when you want to come back on. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all. This has been wonderful.
Yeah,
I've
you are a
learned so
pleasure.
much. Thank you. You all as well.
And Thursday we're
Yeah.
going to talk about how mental health affects us in the workplace. And our brother Jewsby is going to run it. So that's what we're going to talk about, mental health in the workplace.
Well, it's
And
a good topic.
yeah, so if you want to join, you can.
Thank you.
And then Kendall says what, Henry?
Well, the first one says it's okay to love yourself.
Oh,
And
she
then,
said predictions.
yep. And then she says it's okay to pass some gas and let go.
Yay for
It's healthy.
prediction. Bossy, if you want to put in a positive quote, you can put a positive quote in and we'll read your positive quote. And mine is even though sometimes you are the problem, nothing's permanent here. It's a lesson learned so that you can free yourself from here. You just got to be wanting to. You got to be willing to. You got to believe in yourself and talk to your body. Talk to yourself. Talk to every part of your body. And I'm not reading this because that's not my language. Talk to every part of your body and let your body know thank you for working for you the properly and loving yourself. That means raising boundaries and exceeding patience. Be patient and give yourself grace as well as others. What did Kendall say?
I had to.
Oh, it's okay, Kendall. We know you.
You are
But thank you.
appreciated.
You are definitely appreciated. Now here's a different language. This is a good one.
Okay, good morning, my sweet sister. Thank you, love. There's no way we're reading that first one. That was way out of my linguistic barrier.
Yeah,
Mine
it's
too.
Arabic. I'm pretty sure that's Arabic. It looks
Yeah.
kind of Arabic.
But grant acknowledge. I don't say that nothing else. So we're gonna wrap this up and may everyone's night be full of positive energy and high vibrations and love yourself correctly.
Blessings
Absolutely.
reign, everyone.
Blessings and lovings to everybody.
Yes. And here we're doing our song.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage, all got perspective. It's a collective. Get to the bottom what the truth is, with our hearts uncovered. Boy, detox from all of the lies you smothered. When them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yeah, peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal, breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe, so down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to reflect on all the juice like torture. It's on you, tell the truth.
Yeah, we about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Listen. Yeah, aim in the fit so you see in the mirror. Play with your focus and watch it get clear. Polish your crown, turn it up if you wear it. You live in the root, release what you're fearing. And watch it all rise, the righteous will hear it. They calling us twisted, I'm not even caring. Because it's unseen, the mind is too barren. They won't even heal it, they pass it to cheering. We over here healing, conversing and listening. Know that the truth isn't always appealing, but end it with healing and find your beginning. Frequency positive, what you receiving. Perception is up to you, what you believe in. What you retrieving, mentally speaking. Life that they breathing, no words from a heathen. Don't know it all, but together undefeated. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen, hey. Yeah. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Praying for truth cause the world is so fickle. Keeping my mental how clean as a whistle. Attention's a trap, they can lead you astray. Steering this ship through the storm and the haze. Real conversations are lost in the greed. Others get lost in the web that it weaves. Sift through the rhetoric, uncover schemes. Knowledge inherited, this is imperative. I got a lot on my mind and I'm sharing it. Apples to oranges, it ain't no comparisons. I'm the type that'll never break character. I'm the type to make memories and cherish them. Trust intuition and doubt of disparity. Pursuing the echoes of wisdom. Chasing that moment of clarity. Conversation, rather one if you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation, rather one if you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice who the ears that'll listen. Who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen.
It's on, you tell the truth.